here. So yeah, we actually did have quite good participation this morning with less than a week e-blast and social media posting, which clearly says, people are interested in the category, right? So my name is actually not Peter Dyroff, much to the dismay of Rick Gaynor and David Nash. My name is Chris Cowdery. I'm just using Peter's account to host this. And I am with the Pure Tech Alliance. We are a high-tech network, which is the Southeast extension of the Pure Tech Alliance, which is in the health and wellness space. That includes the products that you'll be learning about today. Also Google and Nest, a few other things under that umbrella. We're very fortunate to have Michael Dunham and Dan Lee with us today, both from RePure. If you're not familiar with RePure, they sell several things under the air and water quality and a few other divisions as well. And they're going to give you some really awesome stats about how customers are asking for this up front as part of their new home purchases, the things that you can very easily integrate into the home, which not only add a profit center, but also help you improve the quality of the lives of your customers. And these guys really know their stuff. So you're in for a great treat. We'll go ahead and let it get started. Michael, you want to take the reins? Make sure you can share your screen. Let me make sure I added you as a co-host. There you go. You're good. Yep.
Okay, so you see my screen, right?
I do.
Okay, so thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. 10 o'clock, the advantage that we have, and for people who do circadian lighting, you'll know, but we all have a circadian clock. 10 a.m. is the time where we are typically at our highest alertness level. So it was really good to have a morning crowd. Around this time, 3:30, 4 o'clock, our circadian clocks, they kind of give us our highest reaction times. So I'm going to kind of cater to that and ask a bunch of questions, see how good your reaction times are. But feel free to jump in anytime during the discussion or presentation. If you have a question, you want some elaboration on certain points that are taken, that would be great. If you're a little hesitant to jump in, feel free to type your question into the chat and we will get to it at some point. So I know there are a lot of familiar faces, some I'm not so familiar with. So there's going to be a large kind of range of people who are familiar with wellness technologies, familiar with what we offer, and some not so much. So I'm really gonna, this first module, training module, is really a bit about a 30,000 foot overview. So you have a good idea. We really want to share our vision. We've been doing this for around a decade before a lot of people started on this. So we have a lot of insight and we wanted to share that today. We thought that from the audience, there are probably several reasons why you decided to spend your valuable time, an hour out of your day to attend, but just a couple of them, look, some of you are looking to add another revenue stream, right? Some of you are really into the wellness aspect. You understand that air quality, water quality, circadian lighting are all having an impact on our quality of life and obviously our longevity of life. So you want to find ways to improve these things for your clients as well as for your family, right? And then there are some who you're not so familiar with wellness technology, but you're very curious to learn. So we're going to give you some good nuggets today at this first module. And then another group, your clients have been starting to ask, what do you have in terms of wellness solutions? And you want to be able to cater to them. So we'll touch on all of these things. Some of you know me, some of you don't, but after college, I taught high school. I taught phys ed. I majored in kinesiology. I taught nutrition, which was my minor, and I taught English. So for the first 2 years of my career, I was in the school system, teaching teenagers that were maybe about 5 years younger than me, so had a blast. But I moved into the corporate world. I wanted to do something on a grander scale, global, more global. And for the last 20 years, I've been in the health and wellness field. So this is what I breathe. I have breathed for many, many years now. And I wanted to, at this time, I wanted to share why we created the company. So our mission, as you can see here, is to create healthier homes to elevate people's quality and longevity of life. So another way to look at this is if we are not at any moment aligned with this and being able to positively impact people's quality and longevity of life, we don't have any reason to exist. So we really do take this seriously. And as you see what type of solutions we offer, you're going to kind of get an idea. This is really our passion. We really want to make an impact on people's lives. Because the question that I ask all of you here, like aside from business obviously we breathe it every day. It's our baby. We want to grow it. We want to build it. We want to connect with people. But if I ask everyone to ask yourselves what the most important thing in your life is right now, what would you say? That's my first question. So for me personally, it's the people that I love, right? My family, friends, people that I work with, even a lot of you that I've gotten to know. It's all about people and life, right? So whenever we see people, I know a lot of people in our community we've heard passed away abruptly last year, afflicted with cancer. Family suffers when people get sick and they leave us, right? So that's really what we're about. We wanna put that off. That's why it's quality and longevity of life. Um, yeah, so that's our mission. What I wanted to, I don't want this to be a scientific session, but I do want to share some stats about how pollution affects us. And this here shows that PM 2.5 is actually pollution. It's the stuff we breathe in. So PM 2.5 means particulate matter, which is another word for dust, at 2.5 microns in size. We breathe it in. And as you can see here, it cuts over 2 years of our lives for the average person globally. So if we had no pollution or we reduce the pollution, the average global citizen can live more than 2 years longer. This is the type of impact we can have, right? So pollution has even surpassed smoking as the greatest environmental threat to human health. And you see alcohol there. A lot of people I know are quitting alcohol. They're going for something healthier. And then we have all these other things that are common: road injuries, malaria, conflict, and terrorism. So the main point here is pollution is now the number one threat. So here's another slide. This is just from last week from Time Magazine. Not only is pollution an issue, now extreme heat is, right? So I know some of the people that tuned in here in California especially is super hot, right? So if you look at the stats here, if the kind of beige area is the normal baseline of death risk, so that's the baseline. So when you add extreme heat, there's a 6.1% increase in deaths. Just from the heat alone, extreme pollution, an additional 5%. And then when you add the two, for example, California, Pacific Northwest, hottest temperatures on record the last years, right? So when you add the heat and the pollution, it skyrockets to 21%. So this is happening in real time. Like when you have these events, there's an extra 21% of people dying that wouldn't have died if there were no heat or pollution. So this is why it's so important that if we are able as a group to create healthy homes for our clients, people will have that safe haven to mitigate against this type of catastrophe, right? A lot of you have heard last week that the Senate approved the Inflation Reduction Act. And I think it's going to be sent to the House this week and the president's desk to sign into, I guess they say into law, right? So they can implement it. But this has a tremendous impact on our channel. So if you think about it, this act is really about health and climate, and part of climate is energy, right? So I don't know if there are any Savant dealers here with us today, but Savant's really focused on energy. Legrand is really focused on energy. Lutron has always had that play. So a lot of major players in our industry, this is going to have a tremendous positive impact, right? So there are incentives now adding up to $28,500 to switch to intelligent, smart electric home appliances. So that's an area that we all need to take an interest in. Renewable energy, which includes the smart panels and smart batteries, as well as electric vehicles, right? I'm planning to get an electric vehicle on my next car. But all of this bodes well for our industry because who's the best at being able to deploy all these things? It's really the CI channel, right? And then this act is set to be capable of creating 1.5 million new good jobs by 2030. So within 8 years, a lot of it is going to be because of the opportunities, right? And so that 1.5, let's not just look at it as new jobs. Let's see how our channel can kind of take advantage of the money moving into these spaces, right? And then the health component, which is really what I wanted to focus on, the pollution reductions from this act and the investments, the clean energy investments, are going to save an estimated 4,000 lives by 2030. Unnecessary premature deaths resulting from bad air quality. So money is flowing in this direction. So we have a choice as a group. Are we going to take advantage of it or not? And so we're at that kind of cusp, right? So we want to motivate and show that these opportunities are real. On a global scale, July 28th, which is 2 weeks ago, the UN General Assembly declared access to clean and healthy environment as a universal human right. So this right is already related to existing international law, but people have just taken it too lax. Now they're committing to really fully implementing these laws to impact people's lives in a positive way. So all around, whether it's the US or the globe, we're moving in the right direction. So why are we all here? We're all running businesses, right? So the first question we're going to kind of address or tackle is, what is the business case for healthier homes? I don't know if you saw this, but this just came out today. I decided to slip it in after I saw it this morning. But Sonos Q3, which we're halfway into Q3, their revenues dipped, and they're starting to cut people off right now because there's an uncertain economy. Now, I wish I could ask all of you, or maybe take a poll and say, how many of you are still seeing revenues that are growing or kind of staying the same or actually dipping a little, right? People who are CI firms who are traditionally catering to the really wealthy, ultra wealthy, you're not going to see that much of a dip, I don't think. But anywhere closer to the upper mid-market, Sonos is clear from this stat here. You have to think about how to pivot and to maintain those revenues and even grow the revenues, right? So we're here to talk about how we're going to do that. So this is July 26th, also 2 weeks ago. Consumers are more focused on their overall health, which is no longer only about fitness or nutrition. And this trend has accelerated during COVID and is here to stay, right? Brands need to provide customers with the science to show how their products and services are helping people take care of their bodies. What I can tell you is, and we're going to touch on it a bit later, when it comes to air quality and HVAC companies putting in filters, there's no science behind it. There's absolutely no science. There's no data. So we really have an opportunity to do that for air quality and water quality. McKinsey, earlier this year, people spend about $1.5 trillion a year on consumer health and wellness. They plan to spend even more in the near future. So this is not a trending down market. This is trending up, right? As you can see, 7,500 consumers in 6 countries, mostly taken from the US. The results are 79% of the respondents said they believe wellness is important. 42% consider it a top priority. That's almost half the respondents, right, say it's a top priority. And when anything is ever a top priority, as long as you can build trust, you're gonna grab them and be able to take it to the final steps. I've showed this because this is actually pre-COVID. So the top two priorities for spending money on the home is making it healthier. This was pre-COVID. So I haven't been able to see the follow-up study. I don't think they've done it yet, but I would venture to say it's top one now. 83% of home buyers are willing to pay more for a healthier home. Same thing. I see this as being higher now post-COVID. Harvard study here, a Joint Center of Housing Studies from Harvard, they looked at what the greatest drivers for wellness in the home were. Indoor air and water are the top two. And so we know that from looking at the top 50 high volume builders. The majority of them on their websites have air and water quality solutions, but they're very basic and there's really not much science behind them. So if a client asks, okay, what level can you keep my PM 2.5 levels at? These builders are not able to say anything, right? But we will be able to do that. So what we've done is focus on the top two drivers. We brought in the best of the best in class vendor partners, and we're integrating everything together onto one platform. So you as the integrator can provide that massive value of visibility and science of the science to your clients. So then the next question is, how important really is air quality for our health? It's a stupid question, right? Everyone knows that it's important, but let's kind of delve down a little deeper, right? So the question is, how much do we actually inhale every day, right? In terms of weight. So weight is going to determine the impact. So the first little box here of 2 pounds is how much we eat in food. Some of you guys may think, oh no, I eat more or I eat less. I think I'm about 2 pounds actually. As I get older, I'm almost 50 now, I get lower and lower, but I think I'm at about 2 pounds or a little less. Water consumption, the amount of water that we drink is about 4 pounds. You combine these two and you times it by 6, right? Or 4 or 5, and you're gonna match the amount of air we breathe in pounds, 26 pounds. So the air we breathe does have a significant impact on our health, and every day it's compounding. So if you're in a very polluted environment over 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 10 years, it's gonna impact your long-term health. So what we wanna do is we wanna, especially kids with families and young kids, we wanna create the best indoor air environments so they don't have these long-term exposure to disease and cancer. So this, I didn't put the date on here, but this is also from 2 months ago, I think July or June, I believe. The WHO presented or quoted that an astonishing 99% of the world's population breathes polluted air that exceeds internationally approved limits. And that is typically 12 micrograms per cubic meter. I'll tell you what that means later. But 99% of us breathe air that is over that standard limit, with negative impacts kicking in at much lower levels than previously thought. So we have underestimated the impact of air pollution on our health. And as you see from the headline here, almost everyone is breathing polluted air because we're living in big cities. So because we're living in big cities, the invisible killer, which is air pollution, is responsible for 1/3 of deaths from lung cancer, stroke, and heart disease. So the way to look at this on the flip side is, if we create healthy indoor air environments, the rates of deaths from lung cancer, stroke, and heart disease will start to decrease by 1/3, which is going to save lives, allow our loved ones to live longer, And this is kind of what we're talking about here. It's very high impact. So when we talk about air quality, a lot of people just think of it as what we breathe, the dust. But there's three major pillars of indoor air quality. And we have to address each of these to give a holistic, healthy home environment, air environment. So we'll go through these just briefly, but advanced filtration is reducing the amount of pollution, the particulate, the PM 2.5, and even smaller particles. Ventilation is ensuring that the CO2 levels, we bring in outdoor air to kind of keep those under wraps and under 800 ppm or even lower. And then humidity control is really keeping it in between around the 40 to 60% range. And if you do that, then you really are able to spend time in a home that's going to actually enhance your health and not kind of make you susceptible to some long-term health issues. So the first pillar we're going to talk about that advanced filtration addresses is particulate matter. What we're concerned about most is the ultrafine particles on the very right, because they make up over 90% of all of the particulate or dust that we breathe in. So you gotta tackle the 90%, right? And the other reason is because they're small enough to penetrate through our lungs into our bloodstream. And once it gets into our bloodstream, it's kind of affecting every cell and organ in our body, causing inflammation and long-term chronic illness. That's why it's causing a third of all deaths from cancer, stroke, and heart disease, because of the ultrafine particles. So we, as a company, as a service or solution provider, we believe this is the best way to have a positive impact on people's health. So just to give you an example, this is from our partner RePure, this diagram. The human eye can only see down to PM 50. So every particle you see here is invisible to our eye. We've just blown it up. So COVID, coincidentally, is the size of an ultrafine particle. And it explains why when it gets into our body, it gets into our bloodstream and it just wreaks havoc. And our immune system, because it cannot recognize it without the vaccine, that's why it spreads so much, right? But our technologies with our partners, in particular RePure DFS, captures 99.99% down to 0.007. So we're really focused, and this technology can really reduce the ultrafine particle intake that we are exposed to everywhere we go. So this is the second. I know I'm going a little fast, so feel free to jump in with questions anytime if you have. This is the second pillar of indoor air quality. It's ventilation. So the purpose of ventilation and bringing in outdoor air is really to keep carbon dioxide levels low. As you can see here, the outdoor average is 420 ppm. And they say that you want to be under 800 ppm. Schools, their goal, they're trying to get under 1000 ppm because as you can see here, once you get above 1000, you start getting cognitive impairment. Your decision making, your processing information just slows down, right? And so if you guys have any clients that are high net worth, they have offices, doesn't even have to be high net worth, right? People who are making strategic decisions, this is the perfect narrative that you can educate and present. Say, if you want to be at the top of your game, we got to get you under 800 ppm, right? And you can explain the science behind it. We have all the materials. Dan's going to go through our showroom numbers, but our averages in our showroom are in the 500s. So you can't really expect better than that because outside is in the 400s, right? So this is the second pillar, ventilation. Third pillar is humidity control. So what's optimal for human health is, as you can see from this chart, 40 to 60. If you go under 40, you can see viruses start to increase. allergic rhinitis, asthma, bacteria, respiratory infections, they all start to increase as you dip under 40. And contrary, if it's summer season, if you go above 60, all of these microorganisms start to thrive above 60 and beyond. So it's really, really important. Chris, I know you're in Georgia. A lot of folks today are in Georgia. Very humid. Florida as well. We have solutions that can keep your humidity under 60 all summer long, right? So it's going to keep your health, your home or office optimized for health. So this just came out August 5th, so it was last week from the National Geographic. Humans are not prepared for pandemic caused by fungal infections. So fungal infections are a microorganism. As you can see here, fungi at the top, whenever you go above 60, it starts to grow. It breeds, right? But it also breeds from dust. So if you look at the bottom, second towards the end of the second line, it says A. fumigatus, that's a fungi, grows in household dust and decaying vegetable matter. So if you have a lot of dust lying around the fungi and your humidity is high, it's going to start growing, right? So by filtering the dust, keeping those levels low, and then keeping humidity under 60, you're pretty much not gonna have any condition that's gonna allow for this type of growth. So by doing all of these, putting in all these holistic measures for all three pillars of indoor air quality, we are future-proofing homes, right? So when other people are getting fungal infections, I don't know what they're going to call it in the future, but if there is a pandemic due to a fungal infection, when they come home, they're going to be protected, right? So that we're future-proofing homes for this type of stuff in the future. Okay, so the fun part. So as I mentioned to you, HVAC, plumbing, whatever, they're not putting any science to anything. They're just putting in these basic level filters into our systems at home that don't really do a lot. So we're going to kind of tell you how through our channel and through you, how we're going to together really bring science into the home to optimize it for health. So there are 3 steps. The first step is taking monitors, and we're partnered with the top 3 consumer monitor brands globally, where there's actually a big 4. We'll probably bring on the 4th one, Kterra, at some point in the near future. But reliable monitoring is the key to maintaining healthy indoor air quality, right? It's like our body. So our body, we have sensors all over our body. When we get hot or cold, hungry or thirsty, or when COVID enters our body, we have sensors that pick it up. So we have sensors ingrained in our bodies that can do that. So it's a very similar concept. So these are put in several places throughout the house, at least one on each level, and it's going to monitor what's going on. Step 2 is the brain center, right? It's the control. So when we're cold, we're outside and it's freezing, the brain says to the body through its neural network, start shivering. Shivering starts to bring up our body heat, right? Or on the contrary, when we get really hot, brain says start sweating, so sweat starts pouring out, and based on the sweat on the surface of the skin and the wind, that's what starts cooling our body and bringing our temperatures down. When we get hungry, we all know what happens, right? We hear stuff, right? And then if COVID comes in, our brain tells our immune system to send killer T cells to try to kill it, right? But it's not doing a good job unless it recognizes it, and that's what the vaccine does. So very similar concept. The control is the brain center. So if something bad happens, particulate starts going up when you're cooking, the brain, the control will tell the hardware here, kick on, and then start bringing it back into the green zone, right? So step 3, we got to have our whole house solutions. The medical grade air filtration system on the HVAC system. You have a whole house dehumidifier that also is capable of bringing in outdoor air through a damper when you need, and you could set it with the control, right? You can set it for 10 minutes every hour, 20 minutes every hour. Outdoor air is going to start coming in and bringing those CO2 levels down when they get higher. And then you have the whole house steam humidifier for the winters when it dips below 30%, making it more susceptible to all these viruses and bacteria. The steam humidifier will bring it back up into the 40s, right? So this is how we're automating everything. So I'm going to turn it over to Dan right now, and he's going to kind of go over our app that's in beta. And take it away, Dan.
Hi, everyone. So my name is Dan. I'm the Dealer Relations and Operations Manager here at RePure. So I think it's very nice to see so many of you here at this call. Many of you I've met in the past, but it just really shows your interest in this category. I think the use case, going over all the statistics that we've just looked at, it's very clear that we need this technology, not just now, but also for our future. So today, I really want to give you an update of our app ecosystem and show you how your clients can benefit from it. So the app is really our brains and backbone behind RePure. So together with the monitors, the controls, and the hardware that we've all put together, the app is really going to bring this all together. So I'll take everyone through our ecosystem.
And hey Dan, just one quick second before you show that, I want to make sure we answer a question that Leonard had posed in the chat.
Sure.
And then we'll just jump on. So he said anyone built in. I think he means built into the AC system, but specifically he said, how do you handle split air systems? Michael, can you comment on that, please?
So heat pump technology is really gaining steam because it's energy efficient. It still does the job. The technology is improved, so even in cold or hot weather, it can still handle the heating and cooling. And so there are VRV systems where even heat pump technology, you're able to create ducted systems. On those systems, we can still implement the whole house medical grade purification systems. But there are certain wall-mounted mini splits units, and those are they don't have any ducts. So unfortunately, in those scenarios, the only option is really to put a standalone in that room that will still do a pretty decent job of keeping the air quality, or at least the particulate levels, in a good range.
Thank you. All right, go ahead, Dan. Sorry about that.
No problem. So again, I just want to show everyone what we're aiming for in this initial phase of our beta launch of our app ecosystem. So I'm going to share with you just here. So you should all be able to see my screen here. And this is really the dashboard screen of our app. This is actually our showroom location. And what you get a quick sense of is the green bubbles here. And this indicates that it's good. The air quality is good in this space. Yellow is going to correspond to moderate, and red is, of course, poor. So we can quickly see all the locations are showing green here. We have based all these thresholds on the WELL building standard, which is the most widely implemented standard globally for buildings, interior spaces, and communities, seeking interventions that support and advance human health and wellness. So you can rest assured that this space is optimized for wellness in the highest level. And you can obviously be able to offer this same solutions to your clients. If we look at just one single location here, the basement, for example, we can see the indoor air quality of 0. So this is our showroom. This is the lowest possible value that you could get. This is the best possible value for indoor air quality. And the outdoor is showing 29 here, which is still within a green zone. What this means is that you can safely open up a window, let in some fresh air, or maybe you had planned to go outside to do some exercising. So now would be a good time to go out for that jog. If we dive deeper into a specific location, we can see all the metrics that are being gathered here. So just as we talked about earlier, the 3 pillars of indoor air quality, we're tracking temperature, humidity, PM 2.5. We're also looking at carbon dioxide VOCs and also radon, which is a very important metric for all of us within North America. So this provides a very holistic view to the homeowner. And as we can see on these ranges here, beside each of the metrics, we have a little, we have the same color coding of green, yellow, and red. At our showroom, we can see that all of them are within the green zone. So we're in a safe zone here. Now, throughout the day, certain events might cause spikes in your indoor air quality, such as cooking or cleaning. So that's what we have here, these quick actions. So the quick actions allow the user to activate purification, to remediate the issue, or to set it to energy saving mode when the space is unoccupied. This is going to provide you the control. But at RePure, we have always envisioned a real-time ecosystem that could not only detect the environmental issues occurring in the home, but also address them on the spot. So this is how we can take all this invisible complexity of the indoor environment and convert it to visible simplicity for the homeowner. So one example of how our system works is if you had several guests drop by unexpectedly, causing the level of fine dust to spike, an auto trigger from our app will activate the whole house air purification unit through the fan control until your indoor space is once again in the green zone. That's really going to be the power of this backbone of the app. Now, as the software gathers more data from the users, we're going to continue to build out the automation capabilities to span these 3 pillars of indoor air quality that we talked about. So advanced filtration, that's in our initial release, humidity control and ventilation as well as water intelligence and purification. So these will all be a part of the automation capabilities so that you're not having to manually control and worry about these. So through continually improving our software and partnering with the best-in-class hardware solutions, we're going to really be able to create indoor environments that are calibrated for occupant health. So just like we talked about all the use cases earlier, the need for this is now and for the future for our own benefit. So just as it was mentioned, there was 2 years of lifespan that we can gain back from just looking at PM 2.5. So these types of benefits are really something that's immeasurable. You can't really put a dollar value on this. So one last thing I wanted to kind of go through is the trend section. So we spend over 90% of our time indoors, and our ecosystem is really continuously monitoring all these metrics and reacting to them. So we want to ensure that the time we spend indoors is always optimized for health. And not just in the short term, but long-term averages are able to be kept in this green safe zone, not just daily, weekly, monthly, or annually, but over your entire lifetime. So the value in being able to elevate a family's quality of life and longevity of life is unmeasurable. So here on this graph, we can see the indoor air quality. We have maintained it within a safe green zone for the entire time. And it's also well below the acceptable PM 2.5 standard of 12 micrograms per cubic meter. So we aim to be better than the current standard that's set. So within the next few days, we're going to provide access to our beta for any of you who would like to take part. All of your feedback is extremely important and valuable for us to get it game time ready in the coming few months. We will start driver development for both Crestron Home and Control 4 very soon. So we encourage you all to take part in this beta as you start on your path to becoming a wellness integrator. So thank you, and I'm looking forward to working with you all.
Yeah, so I mean, our channel is known to provide the highest in whatever category we're offering. So whether it's high fidelity, camera systems, networking equipment, it is really the best of the best. And it's no different with the group of vendors that we've brought into our ecosystem. Like I said before, our showroom numbers are off the charts. If any of you guys are ever in the New York area, we're about an hour north of New York City. Just let us know ahead of time and we'll schedule you for a visit and we'll show you. But in terms of PM, our long range averages are below 1 microgram per cubic meter. So that's practically close to zero. Like I said, CO2 is in the 500s. What else is there? Humidity levels are averaging right around the 50% mark. So I haven't, like, even talking to scientists and air quality specialists, I haven't seen any place that could match these numbers yet. And I would love to see more and more because we can show off and get people to understand what's capable. But through our integrators, and we're deploying many, many solutions and these types of things across the country now, we're going to be able to garner stats from multiple regions, fire zone regions, flood regions where humidity is high, Florida, Georgia. And it's going to be exciting as we continue to tabulate this data and continue to refine and optimize homes for health. So I'm going to get back to my screen. So here are some options. So both for air and water, there are point of use or standalone solutions, and then there are whole house solutions. I want to make it very clear that for point of use and standalone solutions, your team, internal team in your integration firm can deploy these yourselves. For example, air purifiers, it's just plug, set up the app, integrate it into our ecosystem. We're not yet integrated with all of these that you see here, but we will be in the near future. So the two kinds are the smaller units that cover up to about a 500 square foot space, like a bedroom or a home office. And then the larger units are 1,200, around there, up to 1,200 square feet. So larger areas like the great room, living room, kitchen, combined areas. And a lot of people use the larger ones in the bedroom because they can put it on a lower fan speed and still get the capacity. So those are the point of view solutions. This is a look at our whole house medical grade whole house unit called the Super V by IntelliPure. So you can see on the left, that's an attic install. And then you have a mechanical room basement install, and then you have a closet install that we typically see in places like Florida. But it's if you have a good trades partner, whole house solutions, you're going to have to partner with an installer, right? And in some states, they should be licensed. But you really need to have a quality installer so that it's installed gap-free. So there's no air passing through gaps, right? We want it to all go through the purification unit, and then only the clean air coming in through all the distribution supply outlets. And all of the materials, the install videos are on our dealer portal, along with the spec sheets. But this is one of the main reasons why we're able to keep close to zero on our PM 2.5 levels. Okay, and this is like what I want to say here is there's no all or nothing, right, for your clients. If they have a budget for standalones only, or they really are limited in budget, but they want the whole house, you can start anywhere, and then later on, you can go back and say, are you ready for us to outfit the rest of your home with standalones? Or you may start with standalones and then say, are you ready now for us to implement the whole house, right? Obviously, if you're doing a new build, you want to start with the whole house, right? But it's really a combination of both. If you're willing and able to keep your fan on for 24/7, then the whole house units will do a very good job. But most of us don't keep it on 24/7, right? So then a standalone unit, which you are running 24/7, is really gonna pick up the slack when your whole house fans not running. So those are things that will help you with over time. And after you do a few jobs, you'll be very well acquainted with how to present all of these options. Okay, we're going to go to water now. I mean, some people actually think that tap water is clean, but it's just because you don't know what you don't know, right? So water is typically pretty clean at the treatment center after they do all the filtration, but it has to travel miles and miles, sometimes even hundreds of miles through pipes, right? And a lot of them are old, and the water picks up stuff. And so when it gets into your home, it's not as clean as it was at the treatment facility, right? So that's something you have to consider. Flint is a prime example. They didn't treat the pipes so that the water was actually pulling from the lead pipes, and it got a lot of people sick. A lot of people got cancer. It was a disaster, right? They spent so much money giving every household bottled water, right? So you can control this if you filter the water that's coming into your house. So we eat or breathe 2,000 tiny plastic particles each week, and most are ingested from bottled and tap water. 2,000 tiny plastic particles make up a credit card. So just picture this in your head. We're munching on a credit card every week, and it's coming into our bodies. And in March this year, the study found microplastics have been found in air, water, food, and now human blood, because we're consuming it, and it's small, and it's coming into our blood, and it's only going to be bad for our health, right? These synthetic chemicals. So we need to reduce that exposure. This is a study on tap water, 9-month investigation, alarming levels of PFAS, arsenic, and lead. All of this, if you're not aware of it, it's the same thing with air. We drink it, but we don't see these chemicals. So we just drink it unknowingly, right? But it's impacting our health. And then when you keep drinking it every day over a long period of time, you're going to get affected. So we have the ability to deploy these solutions in your clients' homes, in your homes, and really take that concern away, right? So some people look at these articles and they're like, is it really the case? So if you go to our site, we've curated articles from reputable sources and scientific institutions for the last 3, 4, 5 years. So there's hundreds of articles. If you do have some time and you're really wanting to do a deep dive, is this really the truth? Then go into our site and go into these curated articles and go through them. And you'll see scientific studies, and you will come to the understanding that everything that I'm presenting to you is the truth, scientific truth. So in the same way that we have holistic air quality approach, we have a holistic 360-degree approach to water as well. It starts with filtration and purification. Water intelligence, especially as a CI firm, is extremely important. And then water efficiency. We're short of water. We're in a water crisis. So the more we can use the data, provide to our clients so they can make their own decisions. Okay, I want to be a part of the solution and not the problem. And they can see the data and gear their lifestyles towards, helping the greater community. So if you look here, same thing as air. Towards the left, it's what's coming into our house in the main water line, but you have the most toxins, chemicals, heavy metals. A Brita filter that you screw onto your sink or the pitcher is particle filtration. Some of the better ones may be able to microfilter, but the most dangerous toxins are to the right, right? So we recommend for whole house solutions to be at the ultrafiltration. That's really the as far as it can go for whole house. We can do reverse osmosis whole house, but it's just very complex. You have to put a tank, pressure pump. The tank is going to be like 500 gallons, so you need the space. I mean, we've deployed several of them throughout the country. The clients love it because you're pretty much bathing in the cleanest water possible. Your clothes are being washed in the cleanest water possible. It's like bottled water, better than bottled water, right? But for a lot of clients, it's a little overkill. So we recommend our whole house unit that's ultra filtration level. But the point of use in your kitchen, especially where you're drinking, your pot filler for cooking, your ice maker for your drinks, you gotta have the cleanest water, and that's reverse osmosis. That's gonna pretty much take out 99% or more of all of this health impacting chemicals and toxins. So water intelligence, there are more that we're looking to bring on, but we've started with Fin. It detects even drips. And a lot of your clients will have vacation homes, and we can automate it so that if a pipe bursts because someone left the window open and the pipes froze and it burst, it'll shut off the main, minimize damage. And we're talking like tens, hundreds of thousands of dollars possibly, right? So this is really good for that purpose. You can get all the data on how much water is being used. You can even turn it on and off remotely, right? If you are leaving for vacation and you forgot to turn off your water main, you can actually do it remotely. This is a look at the whole house filtration unit. It's stainless steel. It's going to last forever. Not forever, but for the life, at least our lifespan. And it's rated for 140,000 gallons. So a family of 4, typically a year to a year and a half. And then you can change that filter. Anyone can do it themselves. It's that simple. And it's ultrafiltration. It's got all the major certifications, so you can show that to your clients and say this is all NSF rated. It's PFAS rated. All these great certifications. And then the black stuff you see on the right is water softener in case the water report shows that you have hard water. And in the same way with air. But with water, we always recommend if a client has a budget and they're like, okay, I can only afford not everything but one, then we always recommend starting with the point of use because that's the biggest health impact, right? Because you're drinking every day, cooking every day, and we want that water to be as clean as possible, right? So start with the point of use always if there's a budgetary constraint. But if there is not, then you want to have a whole house plus the point of use, and then you don't have to worry about water. You actually don't even have to buy bottled water, and then you get a great ROI depending on how much water you're buying. So you just get a thermostat and you fill it up every day when you go to work, and you're actually protecting the environment from plastic waste, right, which is a major problem. Okay, I know we're running out of time, so I'm going to just address a few more things, but using wellness as an overall theme for your business, I would love to see if you can raise your hand. How many of you guys are marketing yourselves as wellness integrators? My guess is a very small percentage, but the reason why I pose this question is, and we're going to bring the WELL building standard into the fray here. So there are 10 concepts that constitute a healthy environment. We have talked about air and water, right? So I think you kind of get why air and water are so important. But there are 7 others. And out of the 7, most of the integrators, our dealers, are already dealing with 5 of them. So add air and water and you're dealing with 7 out of the 10. And to me, and I'm a WELL faculty member, I speak to a lot of companies about these things, that qualifies the CI channel to be able to say we are a wellness integrator, right? So these are the 5 concepts aside from air and water that you guys are likely already dealing with. First, circadian lighting and motorized shades have a huge impact on health. The ability to bring in natural light, right, at the right time, and also the artificial light to be able to change the temperature of the bulb to cater to our circadian rhythm, right? That's huge for wellness. And it's the third behind air and water. And I think that's the trifecta long term. So we're going to start dealing with light as well. Even in our showroom, we have circadian lighting. But these three are going to be the trifecta for wellness. But aside from that, acoustics, audio, right? If you have clients in a urban environment and noise from the streets coming in, that impacts health and the brain. So to be able to soundproof that through acoustic paneling, that's extremely good for health. That's wellness. Putting in high fidelity speakers, high quality sound, allow people, your clients, to de-stress from the grind. Extremely important for wellness, right? Thermal comfort. Being comfortable in a certain range. Our body, like I said, if it gets too hot or too cold, our body gets burdened, so it sends a signal. We don't want the body to be under duress. So you're putting in thermal comfort systems, maintaining that comfort level. That is directly tied to wellness. Movement, if you guys are doing simulation, some of you guys are starting with the metaverse, with the glasses, and what it does is it gets people moving inside their homes. Huge tie to wellness, right? Being able to burn calories, burn off any of the unhealthy sugars. Outdoor spaces, being able to go freely outside and move around. It's all contributing to good health. And then mind, which is really blowing up with especially designers these days, biophilic design, putting in scenes of nature. Some of you guys are putting the TV mirrors with scenes of nature for art. It's hugely impacting mental health, AV, home theaters, once again, de-stressing. So if you're not marketing yourself as a wellness integrator, now you know you are totally in the right to do so, right? And we're going to continue to add more studies on our dealer portal where you can actually share the impact of sound or music for health, or scenes of nature, digital art for health. And you can actually pull these references, send them to your clients and say, these are services we offer, aside from air and water quality. So there's a great way to really mitigate against any downturn, because as you can see, people are not going to compromise on their health, and really not only just maintain your revenues, but actually give it another bump, right? Architects and designers have a greater ability to improve public health than medical professionals. I think this is more accurate. Custom integrators have a greater ability to improve public health than medical professionals, architects, and designers. And the reason is you guys put everything in behind the wall, the technology, make sure it works behind the scenes, whereas architects and designers are looking at more of the aesthetic element, things that are seen. But as you can see, air and water quality should all be working out of sight in behind the scenes, right? And then take that scientific data and measurement and be able to integrate it onto a platform. There's no one else that can do this, right? So the CI channel has the ability to own this space. All of you that are on this webinar, it's your path to grab a hold of and be a pioneer and be actually an authority in the next 2, 3, 4 years, right? So next steps, and we're going to be with you every step of the way to help you establish yourselves as wellness integrators. If you aren't signed up already, please do. We have a great showroom program. Get you started either in your showroom or your home. And you will be able to hit the same numbers we're hitting, right? So it's worthy of showing off because you want to help people. If you have projects, even though you're not comfortable, just give this design support a go, and we'll help you. You'll get much more comfortable if you start with one of these, even if it's for your own home. Even though you don't end up pulling the trigger, just go through the exercise to see how the process is. And please be sure to register for our upcoming training modules starting next month. Actually, maybe later this month, right? So we'll go into deeper dive on air quality, water quality, how to use tools, partnering with the trades, and we're going to pull in our vendors that you see on the right here to give vendor specific training as well. And this is where you can sign up as a pro. And I really appreciate your attendance today, and thanks so much. And
Hey, Michael, before we go, we had a question in the chat, and then I'll jump on this. You can certainly pile on too. So from Kevin, just sort of struggling to make the connection, why we're selling these things when HVAC guys have access to indoor air quality, and plumbers have access to water filtration, et cetera, et cetera.
Yep.
So I'm gonna draw a comparison. So many of you, I'm sure, are in the lighting business, as are we. And you look at the trend with lighting vendors stepping into the CI space. They're already selling to electricians and other trades. It's the same reason that health and wellness needs to make it into this space too. And that is, integrators aren't scared to sell things that are expensive. We have a unique relationship with high net wealth clients, and we understand technology. Plumbers understand the plumbing components, but they're not selling Control4. They're not selling Crestron, right? So we can take the data that's in RePure's ecosystem, pull that into a Control4 system, for example, and execute commands to the HVAC system based on those conditions. And those other trades don't do that in the same way that the electricians aren't selling largely Lutron or Control4 lighting control systems. They're just throwing an LED light in the ceiling. So it's kind of a similar thing in my view. Michael, any other thoughts or opinions on that?
It is, and we've interacted a lot with the HVAC trade and the plumbing trade, and there's a very small segment. I would even venture to say less than 5% that are truly interested in providing science-based solutions that perform at the level that we're talking about, right? And a lot of them don't want to deal with technology integration. So we, as an industry or a channel, we need to find a way to work with them to do the install for us, very high quality install, but we need to focus on the integration, making sure that everything is automated. That's the stuff that HVAC and plumbers, they don't do that. And it's going to take a long time for them to grasp onto, because those trades are typically, we do it the way it's always been done type of mentality. We have a lot of integrators that are jumping on board that are starting to understand that as well. So we're here to help navigate through that hurdle and that perceived roadblock. And it is a real roadblock in a lot of cases, but we're like with the PureTech Alliance partners and us, we're going to start to try to help you navigate through those types of things.
Yeah, and you can leverage those collaborations and partnerships with those trades to help each other. You can bring them into projects and bring them business because you need them to help install air quality or water quality, and vice versa. If they're working with a client that maybe you aren't, who wants these kinds of solutions, they may pull you into the fold. And lots of ways to collaborate, of course. That was a great question, by the way, Kevin. Thank you. But yeah, I think you can definitely see a similarity in other disciplines within the CI space for these very same reasons.
Oh, Chris, one more thing I wanted to address. So today we spoke to a major distributor for the CI channel, doing all the networking. They're one of the biggest, right, in that region of the country. But the head of the company was telling me they tried with the smart thermostats, and they tried to go beyond just the CI channel and sell it to the HVAC trade, and they managed to get some, but they said no traction because they're not interested in the technology. They just want to put in the dumb thermostat that they've always put in. So the majority is going to be like that. So that's something that you'll find the more HVAC people that you talk to. Yeah.
Good point. Look at, there's another similarity, right? Google and Nest is sold by all of the PureTech Alliance partners for that very reason. They have a CI program that our integrators are deploying Google Home to automate lights and shades and other things, where the HVAC community, you're right, largely just puts the thermostat in and that's where it stops.
Does anyone have any other comments or feedback or questions?
Awesome job, guys. Again, Michael and Dan, can't thank you enough. It's great to have you guys as a resource and to have all the data that you have to help us. So thank you all for attending very much. We appreciate it. Have a great rest of your Thursday and an awesome weekend.
Thanks a lot, guys. Have a good
Thanks,
one.
everyone.
Take care.
Thank you.